Hello, everybody. This is a Lamley showcase. Well, preview, actually. It's Hot Wheels Car Culture Modern Classics 4. Fourth time Modern Classics has been in car culture, catching up to Japan Historics. I've got the entire set, including the chase. This set's insane. We're going to be very excited to go through it, open it up. And stay tuned, because what I'm doing is I'm going to go through all these models, showcase them for everyone who just wants to see the models out of the package. We'll do that first. And then I've got one hell of a car show that we're going to build on this mat. I got a ton of models over here that we're going to build, and I think you'll want to stick around for that. So if you just want to see that, just watch this part, and then, you know, see if you want to stick around afterwards. Anyway, let's get right to it. Like I said, Modern Classics has been around 4 times. We'll get into a little bit of the history of Modern Classics a little bit later. 6 models, obviously, including the 0 of 5 chase. We are going to open it up today. I'm not going to save it like I was the last few for that chase showcase I did. But let's start with number 1, and then we'll get to the chase, of course. This is a really cool mix. In fact, it might be worth putting it up against race days, which had the Roxy and Rexy, which are going to be a monster pair of models that collectors are going to be after. But this one, all in all, top to bottom, might be the best mix Hot Wheels has ever done, and I'm not, or car culture at least, that they've ever done. And that's not hyperbole. I think when we look at every one of these, I guess if you have a specific interest, but well, let's just get to it. Anyway, here is the first model, is the Nissan Skyline GTR R32 Pandem, one of 3 new castings in this mix, which I think might be a first as well. I don't know if we've had one with 3 new castings. Actually, you know what? Technically, I'll even roll these out for a second. In the Modern Classics 3, this was a new casting. This was a new casting. I think officially this was not. I think it did debut in Team Transport, but I think timing-wise it hit first. But technically in the Hot Wheels world, that was not 3 new models. So this one is officially the first mix that debuts 3 new castings. And let's get right to it. Modern Classics theme, meaning it's the same kind of artwork. It's almost like photos of these cars, like kind of stacked over. That's how the art is done by Julian Coyles. I'll show you the back. There is all 5 models. Don't know what else to show you there. Modern Classics, they didn't mark it for anything, just Modern Classics. I think Modern Classics is pretty explanatory, pretty easy to explain. So Hot Wheels, before we put on open it up and put it on the turntable, I'm not sure if this actual deco has been done, but I feel like there's been some tie-in between not only Pandem with this casting, but also with Toyo tires. And you know, there might have been, I mean, I'm thinking about the Z that we saw at SEMA that they did for Elite. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, but this is something that we might see if we haven't seen it already. And I'm trying to remember, Formula Drift is a tie-in here as well. There's a ton of branding on this model, and I think it's well beyond just the fact that this is a car they wanted to do for car culture. It just seems like there's a lot more official things going on here. So let's just open it up. I really do think this might be the best mix they've ever done, and we'll go ahead and put it on the turntable. Obviously, new casting, R32. This will be the 3rd R32 that Hot Wheels has done. There's the one that Phil Reelman did years and years ago, decades ago, back to 2004. Then we saw the more factory stock R32 done, for Basic and for Fast and Furious. We've seen it in Premium a ton. I could go on the history of that one. I'm not going to today, because we do that another time. And now we have this modified one. Love the casting. Love that it has, I think it was Rob Mathis who did this one. And we get a plastic spoiler, which I like because it becomes a little more crisp. Love how this one just wraps around with the Pandem deco. Not only the Hot Wheels deco, Toyo tires, but you get the Pandem. You get that little drawing, and there might be a name for it. You guys who know Pandem better than me, you might be able to tell me exactly what it is. But it does look so cool how it's wrapped around, where it's placed in front of the wheels. I just think this thing is fantastic, and a pretty bright future, if you would agree with me on this one. I'm looking forward to seeing it in all kinds of different decos. And while we're here, let's just get right to it. Let's just knock the chase out, put these together. We've seen, when we did the whole chase showcase, all 20, we saw some where the deco's removed. This one's going to go more along the lines of that original Liberty Walk, where The deco was then kind of grayed out a little bit, but it's still there, and I think everything is there. So it goes jet black with gray deco. Obviously, number 05, we're back to black after Roxy, so that's one thing. And then I did see the chases, the next 2 chases for 2025. I think that was previewed at the convention, and we'll get into that in the sneak peek videos we did. But yeah, so they're coming. So the black is back, and let's just go ahead and open up this chase. Right, we're here. Let's do it. Usually I save this for last, but I feel like this is not a bad idea. Throw that over there, and here it is. We can just compare before we put on the turntable. Yeah, I think we've got everything there, just grayed out this time. And this is, I've said this, like, I like how there's no, other than black, and then of course Roxy changed that, but it's what's best for this chase, right? In this case, graying out the deco and then all black wheels just makes this a really cool, just sinister version. It's a real version. It's not just like a weird chase. It's a real version of this car that, you know, you could totally see being done. And you wonder, just like the Liberty Walk, if we might see that being done one of these days. I think that chase is fabulous and goes, you know, chases are expensive. They're hard to find. Really fun to see them all together, though. If it's something that you are willing to collect and want to collect, totally worth it, right? Because they're really fun to see together. All right, that is number 0 and 1. Maybe we'll put them in order here. Number 0 and 1. We'll go in order this time because we'll finish off with what I think might be my favorite model in this mix, but we'll get to that. Number 2 of 5, and this is why everything hits. This is the 1990 Mercedes-Benz 190 E 2.5-16 Evolution 2, long name, super cool car, and super cool version. We're going to go through all of the 190Es later on in this car show we're going to do in the second portion of this video, and because I love this casting, I have proclaimed it as one of my top 3. Greenwood's up there, you know, we don't have to go through all that, but this is one of my all-time favorite castings since it was released in car culture several years ago in the first year, and we get another clean version, and it'll be fun to go through those here in a little bit. But artwork I love. I think this, you know, these are not photographs, but they look very similar. It's just a rendering, but it's a really beautiful piece of art there, especially with the fall colors. And then gray here, but we go Zamac on this one. So let's get this one opened up. Clean rips on these cards so far. And here it is. We get the Aero turbofan style real riders on this one. Headlights, taillights, trim, and that's it. Window trim as well. I love this. Zamac may not be considered the most realistic thing, but it comes across really, really well. And the fact that it's clean, I've had deco on it, I don't know. I really like this version. And there's some play to some of the racing versions in gray. You know, black is the signature color for this model, but this one in Zamac, oh, I just love it. And you know, this is one of those mixes that if you just like these cars could all be the star of a mix, you know, but they're all together, each one of them. There's no weak links in this one, and this is one that it would be my favorite in most mixes, a Zamac 190E, and I think that thing is phenomenal. Let's go to the next new model, number 3 of 5. It is the Nissan SilEighty. I think it's self-explanatory what the SilEighty is. Well, we'll get to it in a second. There is the art. That's the face of the Silvia. It's the body of the 180 SX. So I'll show you here in a second. We'll open this up. The artwork's also great. This is more of a nighttime motif versus the fall motif. I do like how each one of these is different. So let's just get this one opened up. More fun to talk about this one out of the package. The one that I got for the sneak peeks I did had a slight, it was one of their sample models and had a slight skew in the base. So this one on the turntable, if you go look at that one, you'll see that it was like kind of pushed up on one side. So this is a proper one. Now I will pull out very quickly before I put on the turntable. I did bring out, just bear with me here, because we'll do the car show later, but I did bring out the 180SX casting from previous, And you can see that the silhouette is very similar. Don't look at the nose per se. But the silhouette of the 180SX, not only in real life, but also in the Hot Wheels casting, is very similar. It's not exact, but it's very similar. I think Ron did this model. Obviously, we can show the back, and there you get a sense of what you're looking at there. Very similar. Obviously from the top, but you can see that more flat nose on the SilEighty. So then you can just pull out the Silvia casting, the S13, and voila, there you go. Get that in focus. And you basically have that nose. There's some differences, of course, here. But the SilEighty is, we were actually doing this in our sneak peek video, but the SilEighty, as we put this on the turntable, Nissan actually produced this car. There's some, I think, people will customize them and put a Silvia nose on a 180SX. But we were looking it up with Jimmy. Nissan produced about 500 of these. And so obviously Nissan licensed it with Hot Wheels. Nissan produced it. So this is a legit car, rare, I think, the actual SilEighties. There's probably a million customs out there. Just, builds, but this is an actual Nissan. And all the intricacies of this, I would love those that know a lot of details about this to put them down in the comments so we can all learn, because I learn from your comments a ton. And I always appreciate everybody's comments. I learn a ton how to pronounce things, because I get that wrong all the time. History of the cars, things I get wrong. So keep it up, put them in there. That is a fantastic new model as well, and we actually have the second version already previewed in white with blue rims, coming in a 2-pack with this with a repeat of this one actually. So that one's coming here soon. We'll get more into that when I do the premium sneaks with Ron that we filmed at the convention. Number 4 of 5, Nissan Skyline GTR BCNR33, a classic already. We're going to do a history lesson on this one in our car show, but this one, beautiful, clean, Greddy deco, nice plain white with the Greddy. I just love it. And nighttime deco, I would assume that's Japan, but could be anywhere. And it's just a cool car driving on the freeway at night. This casting is a hit. I think it's the next big star, the next big Skyline star behind the R34. We've had some amazing, we'll get into that history lesson. We've had some really nice versions of that one in premium especially. So this one's super clean. We've had the white 3-pack version, or the diorama set, but this one gets the Greddy deco on the side. I love that they did it nice and clean. 5-spoke rims in black, just done proper. Just proper in the Greddy deco. I just think easy, simple, clean, and like I said, would be a star in any other mix. I don't even know how we're going to rank these, but we'll figure it out. And then number 5 of 5. The Pandem Skyline's amazing. The SilEighty is such a great choice, but this one, this is a no-brainer, my number 1. I don't consider myself a huge Forester fan, but this one hits all the notes. Like this is my favorite just for what it represents. I don't know what it represents. This is my favorite just for a million factors. I don't necessarily go crazy for Foresters, but this is a Rob Mathis design as well, by the way. But this STI, done the way it's done, the casting the way it's done, the choice of it, the fact that it goes into modern classics, gets that kind of vibe, as a modern classic. It's just done proper. And there's just a million things to just appreciate about it, I guess. So there's the artwork. Nighttime as well. Don't know where that is. Don't know what the background would be considered. But let's just open this one. And it's the stance. It's the rims. It's the clean signature blue. It's the little STIs on the front bumper. It's the grill done the way it's done. It's the choice of this. It's how rich these Subarus are in car culture. I mean, rich. Fans of these cars are passionate fans, and they get a proper shout out in this mix, and I think it's the right mix. I wonder if these were all castings they were developing, the SilEighty, the Pandem, and then they just said, we can't not put these in modern classics, because that's the best place for them. And we'll see obviously all these cars in future versions, but in future mixes and stuff. But I do think these this is the proper setting, the proper mix for these. And I just think they probably said, we have to. We'll go 3 new models because it's totally worth it. I just think this, just for every reason, is the best model of this mix. One of the best models of the year. We'll figure that in the Lamley Awards. And speaking of, since car culture's over, we can start really considering ramping those up here in late October, early November. There they are, all 5. If I rank them real quick, and then we'll get to the car show, so stick around. 1, 2 is the Mercedes for me. 3 is the Skyline. I think 4 is the R33, and 5 is the SilEighty. And I love the SilEighty. It's not any hate on the SilEighty. It's just like 5 for 5. Just 5 for 5. And I have to try and like intricately rank them. So there they are. Let's get to the car show. We're going to build a doozy. All right. This is our first section of the JCCS mat, the Dream Customs Lamley JCCS mat. And by the way, that show's coming up here in a second. But Japanese cars are not what we're going to be doing today. Let's start with the 190E. I've got all of them. I think I've got all of them. And we'll start with everyone released in car culture. And we'll start with the first because this came in Modern Classics. 190E in the classic black Aero style wheels. They went with the chrome lipped wheels on this one. And we'll see that's relevant later on. But this is, I think, I guess maybe some of the racing versions people will think of, but if I think of the 190E, I think of the jet black. And if we're doing a car show, you got to have this one there. Maybe with different spokes, maybe with like a 5 or 6 spoke wheel, chrome wheel, but this one does work too. It doesn't work. It's super appropriate, right, to have this model. So that would be the first one that was released in the of the 190E. Second one, very similar, Project Cars. This was a collaboration done by Hot Wheels in car culture. They did a Project Cars mix. There was a 993 in there. I think there was an Alfa Romeo. I can't remember all the others right now offhand, but this one was in that mix as well. So black, but that slant there over the, the 91 and the slant from the back in the deco from the back wheel to the front. That's very much an homage to the racing version. And the Aero style wheels are still there, but they go just gray in this case. But this one was really cool too. And I think this is a mix that wasn't as appreciated when it was first released, but I've seen prices on this one going up quite a bit. And it might just be because of time, but this one is a really, really cool version too. But we're 2 for 2 when it comes to the jet black. Then all of a sudden, it goes very different. Momo is the deco in this one. This was also a car culture mix. Can't remember the exact mix. I think the HKS R32 was in this mix as well. Dig it in Momo livery. This is like I've talked about how the R32 casting has just had a greatest hits already. Like if they stopped doing it, there would be no complaints. I think with the Zamac version, we might be there. I'm not going to complain. Actually, I think some racing versions of this, but there's not a miss on these because we go from Momo then to Falcon tires, Team Transport. Love the white rims on this, and obviously the iconic Falcon livery in that kind of mint green with blue. Just really dig it. The white tires just really, as Ron would put it in the sneak peeks we did, just trust me, you'll see this. Chef's kiss is what he says, and the designer. And that is a fabulous version. And I actually even brought out, to be complete, I even brought out the wheel variation, the rare wheel variation. Typically when a wheel variation like this happens, it means, and this appears to be the Skyline wheels in that same mix, or no, in the mix that before. Anyway, just trust me. They run out of rims and they have to keep the line going. They can't shut it down, so they find the other wheel and just put them on. And they did that same thing with the Nissan Z, I think. But yeah, there's a wheel variation. If you want to go on like eBay or something, you might find it. And I don't know what the prices are on that one, but that's something to look for. The black one returns. This was a 2-pack version. We see the repeats, but this one does have some subtle differences. I think there were some differences in the grille, but most importantly in the wheels. This one gets probably a more appropriate wheel, just going gray Aero style. And it's essentially the same as the version that they did in the original Modern Classics, but this one obviously has some subtle differences, enough for me to keep it in the collection because it's different enough from the first one. Yeah, you can see, in fact, I'll just looking at it, you can see the front grille. There's just more detail in the front grille here. They're 2 very different versions, I think. Well, 2 very similar, but 2 very different. Black continues with this unique one. This was the display case version in all black, but this time we get the 5-spoke rims, and obviously if you look real carefully, there's a ghost Hot Wheels deco running along the side. So matte black for this one, so it's different than the other two black versions. Wheels are obviously different, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. You get the MI Evo, is that what it says? MI Evo on the back. Anyway, it's a cool version. I would be disappointed if we didn't have the other black versions with that ghost Hot Wheels deco on it, but I'll take it. I'll take it with the other versions. And then, before we get to the one special edition, it's been in Boulevard once. I don't think I'm missing any. If I am, you guys let me know. This green version, Toyo tires. I believe this is based on a real car that might have been at SEMA, and looks really good in this really kind of rich dark green with the, they're almost yellow. They're almost like a faded yellow color on the rims with the chrome lips. I think that looks nice. And the Toyo tires is all that's there, other than the stock color. So we've got a nice 190E, but we ain't done. We ain't done, because this might be a tough one to acquire if you haven't acquired it, already. But this is the period correct version. I will go ahead and I'm going to keep it on the chassis. But there's a special edition sold on the period correct website, sold on about 7 seconds. It's somewhat hard to acquire now. They did the full wrap, kind of 80s wrap. It's a really, really beautiful version, and not cheap. I've seen it. I did look it up. The last one sold for just under $1,000, but I've seen this go as high as like $1,500, $1,800. So maybe it's gone down a little bit. If you want to spend $1,000 on it, if you want to be a completist, then you can. So we'll put that one just kind of in the background over there. So there's a nice portion of this car show. You can walk along and check out all the 190Es. I think that's a pretty dope collection, but we're not done. Well, of course we're not done. I totally forgot to put the one relevant model from this showcase in there. There it is. Now we have the full collection. Checking that out. Walk along there and see all of the models, including the silver / Zamac / whatever you want to call it. And we'll just give the period correct its own space right over there. Now let's get to the second portion of the show. Okay, the sun is shining through. Why not give it a nice blue sky contrast? Because I've got the little Subaru section over here of our car show. And this is obviously with the Forester STI. And I just picked out 2 other cars to go along with this. These are cars, one debuted in car culture, the other one did not, but relevant because they're both in this beautiful Subaru signature blue. This is the Bug-Eye Subaru. What's the official name? Subaru Impreza WRX. Obviously, Bug-Eye is a reference to the headlights. This was in the first year of car culture as well. We've seen it released a few other times since. Not enough, I think. But it's hard to top this Bug-Eye version, especially with the wheels look good in that they're more gold than yellow, but they look really good. That metal flake really pops in the sun. We'll see if that stays here. Sun's kind of shining through the trees right now. And then, of course, if you're doing that one, then you go to the second one, which is the 22B. This one debuted in basic Riosada design and then moved to premium. Still not feeling the wheels per se on this one, but they're not terrible. But the model's really beautiful in that blue, and I guess the gold rims with that lace wheel are kind of cool. This is a rim that really hasn't found its place. I don't know if they would continue to do that one. I would have taken the 10 spokes on this one, actually, if I thought about it. Maybe not totally appropriate, but from what they've got, I would put that one in. But the 22B was perfect. Then, of course, we add the third Subaru to our show. And as much as I like these, this one obviously takes it, well, obviously. It's not obviously. This is the one I like the best of these 3 signature Subarus. I'm so excited to see where this one goes. There's a million versions. And our little Subaru section over here in the car show has 3 very, very nice versions. Now, in real life, everyone is gathering around that 22B, but these are no slouches. And in the Hot Wheels world, there's your star, in my view. All right, let's keep this car show going. Next section. I mentioned there's 3 new castings in this mix, but that also means there's 2 existing. We've already done the Evo. I thought, why not a history lesson on the R33? why not? Skylines are Skylines. And we've got a good one in this mix with the Greddy R33. Now, I'm only going premium. There's several basic versions, including the Godzilla this year. The first edition, also designed by Ryo Asada, is fabulous. I think the first time we saw it in premium was in Fast and Furious, right? This was the first mix. It's fine. Not a huge fan. And then it was, and I know. I mean, it's the casting. It's perfect for Fast and Furious. The deco. I mean, this is the reverse of what I always talk about. I love that Fast and Furious brings us these models. This one was already done, so this one didn't excite me too much. Now, if this is what opened the door to us getting this R33, then I'm stoked. But it didn't. So it goes there, and it's fine. And then so is this one from Fast and Furious. Yeah, there's a wheel variation on this one too. I don't have it. But that deco, I don't know what movie this is from, and I apologize. I don't mean to show such disdain for these, but they just don't do it for me. But I am a completist on the Fast and Furious Premium. There's even a second version released with they did that version where all these iconic Fast and Furious cars were released with black rims, and so this one was in that one too. So we have two versions of that. There's others that have gone in the silver series now, right? And not my cup of tea. I don't even collect them, but those are the Fast and Furious Premium. Fast and Furious Premium. I said that kind of wrong. But in car culture boy, I'm losing it. Car culture / Boulevard. Now we get serious. This was in the first or second mix of Boulevard, in the return of Boulevard. Nismo, of course, iconic Nismo. We saw Hot Wheels come back with the R34 and R32 in this deco. So we have the full family in Nismo. This thing, just perfect. Just perfect. Rims are perfect. Absolutely love this one. And that's a star in this car show. Second, still probably my favorite R33 released to date, from the Skyline diorama pack in plain white. So similar to the Greddy, but we get the gray rims here, and obviously just straight white. And obviously they did that with the R33 and R32 and R34 as well, and that diorama set might be the best diorama set they've done as well. But this one with the 5 spokes, gray 5 spokes, adore that one. Still my favorite release. And then lastly, and again, I don't think I've forgotten any, but lastly was the 2-pack HKS. So we're getting, those Fast and Furious do nothing, but they've made up for it plenty with the Nismo, the white version, and this full HKS wrap on the R33. A superstar, to say the least, as well. And then lastly, to finish off the R33 show, portion of our car show, we'll put the Greddy right there. Look at those. So now we can go full wrap. 190E, Subaru in the sun, and then R33 Skylines. We're not done. Let's fill up this section right here. So we have some other cars. I can go ahead and put maybe just in this path over here. I'll take the 180SX since it's here, and the S13, and we've already looked at those, and I'll put those like right here in this car show. But this section's reserved for the stars of modern classics in our show. So I went back to the 4. I didn't do all 4 mixes, but I mean I went through them, and I'm going to put in some models that I think were the best of what we saw in the first, second, and third mixes of modern classics. We go way back. The 190E was one. This was the other that, I mean, there were some really good ones in there, but this is the other one that I think was a star of that show. This is the Porsche 964 Carrera 2 is the name. I loved it in black. We seemed to, that Boulevard kind of baby blue version that just came out in Boulevard seems to be a companion to this model. And I think I did that when I did the showcase from the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. But this one definitely goes in the stars of modern classics, as does one of 2 times it showed up in modern classics, the Hello Kitty Civic. This thing was, there was a lot to like in that second mix. This is the EG Civic, and just loved it. And it was it was a bit of a fish out of water, cat out of water, haha. In that mix, but in the Hello Kitty deco, I thought it was brilliant and would be a classic. Also in that same mix, there's several that I pulled from there. The white S14. Loved seeing that these cars were getting, the S15 and S14 have all gotten white. We're also, now it's time to wait for the S13 to get the same treatment, to give that the full family treatment like the Skyline's got in plain white. Absolutely love that. And then the star of that mix, Modern Classics, we had the 190E, but it was this Mercedes-Benz 72 Mercedes-Benz 280 SEL 4.5. Another one that's just up there as one of my favorites that have come out of car culture. And I just adore the Steelies on this. I adore the low stance. We've had 2 versions released since. Hope to see more. What, the gray and then the green version. I think that one was great. Modern Classics 3 produced quite a bit as well. The Civic came back in another iconic livery. This time Spoon. Absolutely love that. That's going to show up. No, it's not going to show up in 2-pack. But there we got the Spoon deco with the EG Civic that... yeah, I mean, that car flew off the shelves as well. Of course it did, and it should have because it's awesome. There was the Lexus, but they called it the Toyota Alteza, and this one, also the Lexus IS300. We got that as a new casting in that mix. It was also the Chase. I just pulled out the silver. We're running out of space here, so we'll just put that in our stars. Maybe we'll have to put the 180SX and the Silvia out of the shot. And then we have 2 others, 2 new castings. I already showed you the Fiat, but we had the Volkswagen Corrado in purple. We haven't seen that one since. I'm sure we will. Phil Reelman's design, which I really like. I like it more and more, and I think it grew on a lot of other collectors as well. So that one was a star of Modern Classics. And then the Fiat Abarth in red. We've seen that in some upcoming. I don't think it was officially supposed to be the first. It was the first release time-wise, but I think it's technically not the first release of this casting, but enough to put it in our little car show. It's getting a little cramped in our car show, but that is okay. Finally, one other section. Sun is really having its way, but that's okay. We might as well put in our other models here. So we have the Chase, we have the Pandem. This is the end of the show and they're doing the awards. So in our JCCS mat we have best stock model from Modern Classics, best modified model, and the best model in general. So this is going to be tough. This is going to be really tough. But the best stock model, from our Modern Classics family or from our car show in general, I think I am going to go with the original 190E as the best stock. You guys can tell me in yours what your choices are. I would consider the R33 in plain white, but I'm going to draw from Modern Classics, and I'm going to say the black 190E goes in there. Best modified model. There's quite a few in here coming from this set. Boy, that's tough. But you know what? There's some slight modification. Is that enough modified? The lowered stance on the Mercedes. I know the sun is really here. We'll give it some shade here. Could use the card actually. There you go. So you can see him a little bit better. But that Mercedes is phenomenal. I think that would be my best modified. Although, yeah. Yep. Yeah, this is not an exact science, is it? Best? I'd consider putting that there. But I'm going with the Forester. I just love this casting so much. I'm way into it. So there you go. Bright sun. But that's a cool car show. 190Es, best of Modern Classics, Subarus, R33s. We built ourselves a good show. You guys tell me what you think. I want to see all of your choices. Build your show as well. Tell me which ones you like the best in this current mix, Modern Classics 4, best in Modern Classics in general. Just so much to like. Hope you enjoyed this showcase. Hope you enjoyed this style. Showcase the models at the beginning, do a little bit of a car show or some sort of other, like dive deep into the collection in the second portion. If you guys like that, let me know too. Thanks everybody. Bye.